5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello. Hello, babe.
Hello, babe.
You're right, everyone. How you doing? How's it going out there? What's happening? Tell us.
You said that so sweetly. What's happening?
What's happening? Hey?
Homer!
Hello, Homer.
How have you been, Homer?
you?
What have you been up to?
You hunky, handsome, historical devil. You got all the H's going on. You're a triple H.
Mark, howdy doody, man. How are you doing?
Hunky, handsome, historical Homer. You are a 4-H wonder.
The magic of the 4 H's. How's your drawing coming along, Mark? Have you he was doing one of Brian and Mike.
Right, we got a bone to pick with Mark, all right?
Okay.
So Mark had the idea of...
Have you seen how thin he is?
Yes, I know, it's crazy.
He's one svelte son of a bitch.
All right, as he's a bony bastard now, I've got several bones to pick with you, Mark. So Saturday, he had the idea that, oh, yeah, everyone should do 80s, you know? So Lucy was like, oh, cool, really, yeah, everyone get dressed up, everyone make an effort. Mark just turns up wearing his usual shit.
Well, that's how he looked in the
Yeah,
80s.
I know, I understand, you know, he's got a look that is, you know, goes through sort of time in memoriam, or however you say it, or just, you know, it's an eternal look. But you could have done something. Even Chris, our drummer, wore a tutu.
Very good. What were you wearing? Obviously, one of your amazing outfits.
No, I wasn't. I was leather jacket. I had my blonde wig with the headband, leather trousers.
Oh, super.
So I kind of went for.
You got leather trousers?
Yes.
I don't think I've ever seen you in leather trousers.
I'll wear them for our mayhem.
No, don't ever do that.
With the chaps cut out. Yes. So next time you come up with a cool idea, Mark, I want to see you dressing up more. I want you out of your comfort zone like the rest of us fuckers.
What was Matt dressed as?
Matt had kind of his pink and black spandex kind of
Oh,
thing,
right.
and the sort of. I think, did he have his ruffled shirt? I can't remember now. Yeah, I think he had some kind of.
Because he wears like a ruffled shirt for the Queen stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah, I can't remember. I have to watch back the videos. It's all a blur. Rob, evening, gentlemen. Saw some vids from your gig, Mike. Nice wig, mate. That's very cool looking Jackson you have there, Simon.
Oh, yeah, that's my. I'll get that out in a minute. That's
You'll get it out in a sec.
It's really nice actually. I think this is a fantastic guitar. It's covered in newspaper headlines, even the neck as well, and yeah, it's got all. There's this one on here was because of you, man with was it nothing? Had 55 tortoises in his pants.
TL, hello, dude.
TL,
hello, gentlemen. I've just got a small new front porch put on and another crew working on our electric update to 200 amp service. Another day that's feeling like
winter there. Oh.
Jesus Christ, you seem to be in for the long haul with your weather over that way. We've had really nice sunshine, rain today, but generally nice sunshine. Thank you, Peter.
No, Matt.
Matt, no, there was Pete. Oh, no, sorry. I was looking at the one below. Hello, Matthew. How you doing, darling?
Matt's one of my favourite people in the world.
He is. He's a good egg. God, does that man know about Excel spreadsheets. He's a hero. He has saved my ass many times with various formulas and whatnot. He is a god amongst men.
Right, shall we do some music?
Yes, so remember everyone, if you
Rob,
feel,
really nice
if you
to see
feel inclined, please like, subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already, but more importantly, if you're on Facebook, please like the stream, share the stream, follow the stream.
Be the
Write
stream.
the theme tune, sing the theme tune.
Also, TL, I just want to ask, so you said another crew working on electric update to 200 amp service. What does that mean? So I take it you must have some sort of like power generator or something in your home. So what does that mean? Mark says, I did have a tutu on. And now I don't know what he said. And it wasn't my idea, it was Lucy's. I just asked her what the
she
theme
says
was.
it was your idea, Mark. So,
it's all kicking off.
See, disinformation, it's everywhere, even in your local pub.
Lee, hello! I saw Lee at the weekend. He was good enough to come down to our gig. He was staying with Carl. And It's really nice to see him. I haven't seen him in a while, so he's doing really well up in Brightlings.
Jolly good. What I like to hear.
Doing really well.
Oh, we're doing that. Sweet.
And the drawing's going well. Yeah, sorry, you just had the lyrics up, so I thought we
That'll
could
do.
just...
Let's do that.
do this.
Right. So we're going to do the usual. This is one of our normal streams. So music and chatty bollocks, a bit of everything. That's interesting.
I was just in on the...
Yeah, that's supposed to be like that. Ah, hang on. Do a double hit. There we go. That might do it. Don't let yourself off yet. It's only in your head you feel left out or looked down on. Just try your best. Try everything you can. But don't you worry what they tell themselves when you're away. It just takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. Hey, no, they're all the same. You know you're doing better on your own. So don't buy in. Live right now. Yeah, just be yourself. Thank you, Neil. This doesn't get as good enough for someone else. It just takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. It just takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. To write yourself off, yeah. It's only in your head you feel left out or looked down on. Just do your best. Do everything you can. But don't you worry what the bitter hearts are gonna say. It just takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright. It just takes some time. Little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything will be just fine. Everything will be alright, alright.
You sounded really kind of... Alright. That's kind of... Feels sickening. Like this.
Word pens, gotta.
Lee's been working out as well.
Has he?
Yeah.
Is he all studly buff?
He gave us a little flash of his muscles before he left.
Hello.
Ziggy-
Hello,
Ziggy
ducky.
nearly passed out. Ziggy nearly passed out.
All the blood flowed to the wrong area. Donk. Neil says, always try to like the stream during the song in the vain hope the Tarzan noise knocks you off your stride.
You're not wrong there.
No.
Also, Lee liked us as well. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Lee.
TL says, no generator. Our executive service is only... so you mean yes, a generator, I think, isn't it? It's only 100 amps and it's not enough to run everything. We want to electric stove. Oh, right, okay. Thank you, dude.
Cool.
You blame Ziggy for that. Yeah, because Ziggy keeps wearing these short T-shirts and showing off his... I think, to me, I don't think he's particularly muscly, but he keeps showing his muscles off.
Somebody call a vet because these swans are sick.
And then Lee took out the big guns, and we were like, oh no.
Bring out the hammers of Thor.
Exactly. Yeah. Right, what else do we want to do?
Let's have a look.
We've got Riverboat somewhere there. Do you fancy doing Riverboat?
Can do. We've done this song loads of times, but it's such a good song. And also, we've got to do it at our Mayhem. So.
Oh, are we?
Are we? I think we are.
Possibly. I don't know. I haven't looked. I've got to start learning that. Right.
Okay, Riverbed song, ladies and gentlemen.
The Riverbed.
The Riverbed.
The Riverbed song.
The Riverbed song. I just spat on myself.
What kind of a fucking count is that? It should be. They've got like a 4 count on it.
Let's try it, hang on. I did say sun's out, guns out too. Nice, I see double up here, where the river rolls straight beneath the sun is where the river runs red. Like a king, stop the winds and shoots down the freeze an eagle instead. It's more or less the same as things that you said. I see trouble up the road, like the thing you found in love by the way you left the cheat on your soul. Like the best of worst of thoughts, lose control before you lie on your bed. It's more or less the same as the things that you said. Anyway, for all the things that you know, tell me why does the river not flow? Anyway, for all the things that you said, tell me why will the river run red? Anyway, for all the things that you see, tell me where will the river run green? Anyway, for all the things that you know, tell me why does the river not flow? Small and left to teach you feel the same in the way that's your trouble. Like a king, stop the winds and shoot the moon and the stars and his double. It's more or less the same as things that you said. Anyway, for all the things that you know, tell me why will the river not flow? Anyway, for all the things that you see, tell me why will the river run green? Anyway, for all the things that you said, tell me why does the river run red? Anyway, for all the things that you know, tell me why does the river not flow? I see double up ahead, where the river runs sway beneath the sun is where the river runs red. I see trouble, that's my trouble. Hello, Sonia, Rebecca, hello.
God, this is going on, isn't it? Good. Sonia, hello. How's Archie? Rebecca, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a
I'm
while.
guessing that guitar's really easy to play. Literally, it's just like flying around there.
Do you want to play it for a bit?
Oh, God.
Do you want to
yes.
play guitar and I'll play bass for a bit?
I wouldn't even know what I'd be playing on.
Oh.
No, maybe another day.
Okay.
But yeah, that was impressive.
Because it was all nonsense. Right.
So, how is Sonia? How is Rebecca? How are you, lovely, lovely ladies? I hope you're well. We'll do one more, then we're going to have our little chatty subject.
Oh, should we do
One.
ba-da-da-da-ba-da?
Yeah, let's go for it. But a Peter Gabriel.
You sounded like
Partridge.
Yes.
Peter Gabriel.
You played this as 7 down, don't you?
I think so.
Well, in fact, it was originally done.
What, in E flat?
In E flat, yeah.
Ah, that's interesting.
He tunes down to. I met him out in Germany. We were playing down the road from him, and our tour crews knew each other. And,
All right.
He had Tony Levin on bass.
Oh, very nice.
So I think we finished and we caught the last couple of songs, literally the last song of his set and the encore. And it was amazing. It was in the round. I can't remember where in Germany we were. It was in the round, and he had this thing where, and so this is back in probably 2002 or something like that. And he was in, you know, those balls where you get inside and you kind of bounce, you roll down a hill. He was doing that. He was doing this thing where he was singing. And he was inside this ball, and they were just bouncing, and they were going around the stage.
That sounds like so much
so
fun.
good, man. It was just.
That's where you just roll out onto the crowd, and they can just keep you up until you come back.
Yeah, honestly, it was just good. It was just.
I want to get one of them for the cow and telescope next time.
And they just bounced down the road all the way home.
I've got a wireless mic in here, so I could just roll around the venue.
Glenn Adams. Glenn.
Glenn!
What a lovely man.
Hello, I'm going to stop doing partridges. Glenn! Don't know why I'm doing it. Okay, here we go. A bit of Peter Gabriel.
Do you reckon one of us played drums on this last?
Just lay down your press the button.
What was it?
It was my...
Pedalboard?
Yep.
Oh, you must have kicked the plug.
That was what that clunk
Dan's
was.
fool.
Hello, Paul. Paul sung Danny. He was the guest we had the other week.
Paul.
Yep. Had Danny over because Danny's having singing lessons with me at the moment, and it's when you're teaching people, especially singers, a lot of people feel very kind of in their shell, and it's very hard to express. So when Danny started singing in the lesson, we're doing an Alice in Chains one.
Oh, cool.
And he was really, really conscious about kind of like trying to go for it.
What Alice in Chains track?
We were doing Down in a Hole.
Down in a hole.
Yeah, so that, down in a hole where I don't... And you've got to give it a bit of guts. Yeah. And he was very, very sort of timid start. His volume level was that big. By the end of the lesson, the volume was kind of up here, and he was hitting the note, bang, every time.
That's so
cool. Well done, Danny. Cracking work, sir.
Dave, hiya.
Dave, Lord Nick, everyone's in.
Hello, Nick.
Should we do a little chat subject?
Yeah. Sorry, Sonia said, I still love that video to this. And I think Dave was probably what you meant there, suddenly. To this. That was such a landmark video, that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
All stop motion stuff. Really, really good. And he's always been such a... like breaking new barriers.
What did you think of Genesis's? Was it This Is the World We Live In? The spitting image puppets.
That was a really good video. I thought that was a really good video.
Nuts, that one.
It was absolute nuts.
It was nuts, mate. It was all over the bollocks. Right. just like my vocabulary.
Sonia, how's Archie? Little Archie man.
Oh, is he not well? Or?
No.
Oh, is he?
Okay,
really
good. Sweet. Yeah, that was all.
Okay. Good to know. Public service announcement. Okay, so we're going to have a little chat subject. Let's hope this works. This.
Oh,
it appears that thing has just disappeared.
We've been doing this now for nearly 10 years. I think we started doing it together. I know you were doing it before me, but on your own. But you were doing it with Matt, weren't you?
Yeah.
And so I think we started doing it in around about 2017 or something. So nearly 10 years. I don't think we've ever done one stream where we haven't fucked up something.
That I think is where it's updated, and there's a certain thing that allows all the changes, macros, and right. I think that switched itself
I'm really
on.
glad you told us about that, because all of us are going to go away now.
It's all about the macros, baby.
Macro power.
Right, will the chat subject come on? There you go. The greater good.
The greater good. Yeah. That's interesting. Right, do you want to set up your premise before we get into it?
So the premise is, as human beings, we all tend to think that we could probably, if only the world was the way we feel it should be, or if everyone acted how we feel we should, the world would be an amazing place. Right. That's kind of a lot of people's attitude. Mm-hmm. But is there, so my question is multifaceted. Is it... So, is it a case of, like, and we've had this conversation before, how much, when we try and influence other people, are we doing it for our own benefit because we feel that people should be like us? How much of it is we genuinely feel that there is a greater good out there, that if we all kind of adhered to it, there'd be more of a kind of utopian ideal? Mm-hmm. Where's that point?
And also, probably then, just to caveat on that, should you? Do you have the right, or is it a right or good thing to do? Right.
Yes, because this is a conversation we've had before, isn't it? So this is why I want to bring this up. So please get involved in this conversation, everyone. It'd be really, really interesting to hear your thoughts. So, do you think...
Do you want to set the timer off?
Yeah.
Right.
Do you think there is a set bunch of moral standards that if everybody adhered to, the greater good, so to speak, the world would be a better place?
I think that's it seems like it's an obvious thing, but I think when you start to drill down, it's not, sadly. So I think generally people would agree, treat people as you would like to be treated.
That depends how you like to be treated.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying, when you start to drill down to those things. So let's take an extreme example. Don't kill anyone. Right, that seems on the basis that seems like a good thing. But if someone's threatening your, say, you're a parent, someone was threatening your child's life, you wouldn't think twice about eliminating someone for the greater good of your child's well-being. Yeah. So again, when you start to drill down to these things, I think that's where we become greatly compromised, personally.
Yeah.
And I think that permeates into anything. So let's take some of the big things: religion, politics, social order, right? So just take those three things. They're fairly large and expansive subjects. You've got many, many different religions. You've got many, many different political stances, positions. You've got many different takes on what social order should be, could be, etc. And that's where the problem and the divisiveness then occurs, because your idea of what social order is may be based on any kind of spiritual or morality that you have, on your political beliefs, standpoint, ideals, and also those feed into your social understanding. So we've spoken before about we can't have this unspoken social contract. There's a way to behave with people. There's a way to do things, but then
a level of civility that should be maintained.
Yeah, or care, or empathy, or thoughtfulness. But that's very, again, I think I say this a lot, and something I believe in. I think we're poorly made as people, because we're so fallible. We're so prone to falling into our weaknesses. We're so prone to being greedy, to being selfish, to going me. I'm so important. I want what I want, and that effectively, I think, is a large part of people's sadness in the world, is because there's a lack of empathy. So a big thing at the moment, these global tariffs, this war that this dickhead started, one man arsehole.
Yes, we're talking to you. Yes, you, mister.
That is causing so much problems for people's work, and therefore it will permeate into their personal lives, and it will permeate into their, unfortunately the world runs on money, and people's sustenance, their warmth, their happiness, their extravagances, their necessities, all these things. And one person in the world can cause so much pain and grief instantly.
Yeah.
Again, what's the greater good? And everyone will have not everyone. You'll get large swathes of different viewpoints of what's the greater good. Some people, so for instance, there was an American car industry bloke saying we've been fighting for tariffs for a long time because they feel, because it costs them more to make things, so let's put everyone else at a disadvantage so that it makes it more of a level playing field. Is that the greater good? Well, it's the greater good for that person, but it's not necessarily the greater good.
One person's greater good. Yeah. As Nick said, if we all wanted the world to adhere to the greater good, then this reality would, in the words of the great philosopher Eastwood, be a major league clusterfuck.
I think you need to explain that more. In what sense, Nick? So I kind of get what you mean, but specifically, how exactly do you mean that? How do you interpret that?
So while Nick explains, so where do you feel no empathy for someone with that many guitars? Simon, come on, share them out. He's not wrong. Simon has said he's going to give away one guitar every month to your lucky.
Yeah, you have that.
Oh no, thank you. I don't play mine enough. And that's way too. The neck on that guitar is like about paper thin. It's just, you could play it more like a piano than a guitar. But okay, so as we've run out of time on that, this is for the second question. Part of the question.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so regarding when we try and influence other people, we have multiple reasons for trying to do that.
This is a really interesting thought.
Yeah.
Right.
So some of it is
So again, this is kind of a thought experiment.
Yeah, so if I have an idea of how something should be, and I see you doing something different to me, and I try to change your mind on the subject. Now, there's multiple elements at play. It can be like, I believe that my way is truly the best way, and my ego says people shouldn't be doing anything in any other way apart from
Can you think
me.
of an example that we can work from?
Yeah, so...
Just a very simple example.
So some people who have like different tastes in music, and you'll see them like, how can you listen to that? That music's shit. You should listen... Black metalers. Sorry, but you are all like that. They're like, my music is the best in the world. Nothing comes close.
Okay, so let's take that as a wider sphere, a political standpoint.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yes.
Or even like a religious standpoint. So I believe that a particular method of thought is the right way forward.
And it's superior to your method of thought.
Okay. If I tried to explain, then it would defeat the objective.
I'll take your word on that, Nick.
If we all wanted the world to adhere to the... Where is it?
I think we
Just
are
bring that
meant
back?
to be. I think we are meant to be tribal to some degree. Can be the greater good in small groups, semi-variable. I do agree with that. I think there
I
has
think
to.
we all meant to be tribal in some degree. Can be the greater good in a
smaller
group.
groups. I think
Right.
you can have smaller collectives with similar ideals, and as long as there's kind of
But
respect.
isn't that the case?
In some places, if you can find the different collectives that can accept each other and just say, okay, what you like is not necessary for me, but
So
each
that,
to
that's,
their own.
that's great when you can do each your
Yeah.
own. What do you do though if you have a political ideal? So again, let's use an example. You've got this very strong. Oh, and the answer
Exactly. Yes.
you've got this very strong government in America that's had an effect on the world.
Mm.
So how does that stand?
In what sense?
Well, you're saying you can have small tribal things. So what would be, say, just the GOP and it would just affect America is now affecting the world. So
you have some things that can affect people on like a global scale.
sorry, I didn't explain myself.
But you can also have things that, for your local groups. Like, for example, you can have like different religious groups living close to each other where you have vastly different religious opinions.
So, say, for instance, you have the Sunnis and the... I've forgotten what
Shiites,
it is.
is it?
Yeah, absolutely right. Thank you. And there's a lot of tension, say, for instance, in Pakistan. There's lots of trouble with that, with these two different Muslim factions. You have in Ireland, you've got the Protestants and Catholics. It's very contentious and very problematic there. So I would say, would you consider that small tribal or large tribal? Pakistan's a lot bigger country than Ireland. Ireland's a lot smaller country, a lot smaller population.
I think
so.
you
What
have-
degree is that?
I would say probably that's large tribal. I mean, you have kind of, again, with all these things, you have different degrees.
That's the
and
problem when
different levels.
it comes down to scale. Where's the turning point?
So, for example, you have, say, like people into different kinds of music, people into who, go to different clubs, different this, different that. So people intermingling, but sort of going, that's not for me, that's for you. Okay, that's fair enough. I hang around with this group of people, you hang around with that group of people, but we accept the fact that what you like is what you like, what I like is what I like. And so you have that kind of on the small scale, the everyday scale. You have typical, for example, if you have a multicultural area, a lot of the time that the different cultures will generally gravitate towards their own. It's just a natural thing. You have, like, for example, Polish tend to, because you've got commonality of language, you've got a commonality of culture where you understand, like, for example, if you have, I've noticed with various people, when you have Polish mixing with English, unless they know the language well, they do feel quite alienated. So therefore, if you're Polish and you're in a group of Polish people, you have the commonality of language. Sort of there's a more of a, I suppose, in a brotherhood or sisterhood between you all. Until same as when we go over to other countries like Spain, we tend to populate in our own groups and stick to ourselves because that's what we know, rather than try to integrate with the culture. So we have a tendency to kind of stick to our own.
Mm.
You don't agree?
I don't know whether I...
But those cultures, again, can, depending on their outlook and their attitude, can get along very well alongside each other. But it depends, again, how the extremes of either can cause trouble.
Yeah. So Nick said there, define strong government. I would define that, or the way I was thinking about it when I said it, Nick, was that you have some mainstream parties, and then you have some parties with, further right, further left. And I would say at the moment in America, the American government is making some quite, what I would say, looking back through history, some quite extreme...
Thank you, Mark.
Cheers, Mark. Some quite extreme decisions. Some quite extreme behaviour. The stock market is bearing that out all around the world. Dow Jones, the Asian markets, the English markets. It's one decision in America is affecting so many people globally. So I would say those are quite strong decisions. They're not kind of centre point type of decisions. That's how I would define it, or that's how I would see it.
Yeah, they're not just affecting the local populace, they're affecting on a massive scale. I'm not very good at explaining anything like this, but the thing I struggle with is injustice. I seem to be noticing more and more.
I completely agree with Glenn there. Yeah. I really, more and more I see injustice, and it's something that just burns my soul, really.
One man's injustice is another man's justice.
But that's exactly it.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about the greater good, again, that's the thing where it seems on the surface what the greater good is, but then when you drill down, it starts to break down. Simon the man is
nuttier than squirrels.
But you say that, Nick, the support for him doesn't seem to have waned. So there's loads of people. I agree with you. I think he's... well, you know what? I won't say what I think, because I don't think I can be polite about it. But... it mainly starts with CNN's in T. I think there's
and
so
rhymes
many...
with Hunt.
But there's so many people still in America who thinks he's great. We spoke about Les earlier. Les thought Trump was all that. He thinks Farage is all that. Well, he did. He's dead now, so he thought he was all that. And I kind of... and you kind of talk to people like that, and I never try and ridicule people. I want to know why they see that. And
so this is about to tie in really well with that question.
Right, yeah, so getting back, because I'm
No, it's fine.
enough, I do apologise.
Because me and Simon have talked about this, I have because I'm very aware of my lack of knowledge and my lack of understanding on a lot of subjects, I now
That's
try...
all of us, though.
Yeah, no, you'll be surprised. Dunning-Kruger is rife in the world at the moment. But so when I have an opinion on something... and I can feel that my opinion is right, but I also have to realise that my opinion is not necessarily the right opinion for other people, or the way that I live my life may work. I would agree with Glenn. Injustice and the far right seem to be on the rise everywhere. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. The far right seems to be... Again, we were talking about the troll farms and the theory of chaos.
Yeah,
the Russian
Russia.
theory of chaos. That feeding that kind of... so when you're saying about, people gravitating to their own tribe and stuff, that's why I kind of pause with that a bit. But anyway, carry on with what you're saying.
Yeah, so I have to realise that
Hannah.
my approach to life is not necessarily the same approach that would work for someone else. My moral code and everything.
So should you give someone your opinion, or should you not give someone your opinion?
This is where it comes to what is trying to... What's the word where you try to sway someone to your...
What sort of like impartiality, or should you try and impose?
There's a word, I think it begins with L, not lever someone to your side of things, but it's where you... There's a difference between like having a conversation and putting across a point, but there's a point where you try to almost manipulate someone to your way of thinking.
So I'm saying
for a self-serving
you're trying
purpose.
to impose your opinion on someone.
Yeah.
So how would you say it's similar to imposing your opinion? Or would you say it's something different to imposing your opinion on someone?
It's like that. I can't remember the word, and it's really going to annoy me because I had it a minute ago. Influencers. Yeah, influencers basically like that. But it's when do I have the right to...
No, I think Simon. So, and I might be wrong.
Influence.
So I think Sonia means when you're trying to influence someone, you're trying to persuade them, influence them to.
Yeah, you're trying to influence them. We all do everything in our lives for a purpose. Everything. Like if I tell Simon a joke, there'll be multiple layers to why I do that. It may be because I found it funny, and if Simon laughs, I get a dopamine hit because there's been an exchange, and he's laughed. I feel better about myself. Maybe it kind of raises.
But then it might be also your empathy. You think, oh well, it cheered me up. It might cheer you up. Or it might give
exactly.
You
So there could be multiple layers. So when we try and influence someone, there's so many different reasons why we could be doing.
Jude Kay Kershaw.
Hello, Judy. How you doing? She's awesome. Absolute cracker. Lovely girl.
Hello. Encourage.
And so if I tried to...
I would say encourage is probably a nicer way if you're trying to encourage someone.
Again, but why are you doing it? For what purpose?
So So I think, getting back to really what Glenn and Homer were saying, injustice, when you see someone say what you feel is making a bad decision, or you see someone taking a bad step, or maybe... so just say, for instance, we were talking about something earlier, a friend of ours, and they're with someone who's making them upset, or they're with somebody who's maybe not doing the best for them as they're presenting it to us. And then, and this happens often with friends where they'll go, I think you should do this, or you should, do something different, whatever. Is that you trying to help them because you have empathy for that person, or is that you trying to say, you're doing it all wrong, this is a better way to deal with it?
Yeah.
And I think that very much depends on the way... I think for a long time I've always tried to go... that's why I think...
No, I've just had a thought. When is it empathy and when is it ego? I think that's the best way I can put it.
I think, again, you'd need to give an example and then you'd need to drill down.
Okay, so someone sort of seeing somebody doing a job and it's not quite going... It's not the way you would do it. So...
You don't want to do it like that.
Yeah.
You want to do it like this.
Yeah, or you've got injustice. I know a lot of people who feel that the world should act in there accordingly. So if something does it, they shouldn't be doing that. They should be doing this because that's what I believe in. So therefore, my way is right and their way is different to mine. So therefore, they're the bad person because my way is superior. That's ego. But again, when you see someone who's hurting themselves or something, you're like, but you could do this. There's this option. You could...
So, again, I think if you had an example, it would be easier to... So, very high level, that all makes sense. But when you then give an example of something, there's differences in the way that people can do that.
Let's take someone who... someone who drives... Like, a really everyday example. Okay, you're... And I know quite a few people, like road rage, where a driver does something that enrages you. And it could just be, I know people who, a guy's in the wrong lane. And they're in the wrong lane and they signal and they and they make a mistake and they come. So they're like, you fucking idiot, you don't know how to fucking drive, blah, 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 blah.
But that's not trying to
No, but it's that I know better than you. There's that kind of
that's
ego
an expunging of... frustration and temper.
But again, that's because there's an injustice there. The injustice is that person has done something they shouldn't have done. They've broken the rules.
But I think that's more adversarial. So I would say maybe a better example would be, and tell me if I'm wrong, we're missing some really good things here, by the way. If you have a partner and they do something in a certain way, so let's just say they make a sandwich in a certain way, and they make an agenda.
I've got the one. I've got exactly the one.
Strawberry jammed sandwich.
I have the perfect one. Sorry, but this is perfect.
Hit me with your shit.
Okay, in our household, and I know many men like to leave a toilet roll on the cistern, and that's where it lives.
What?
Right? Yep. Hold fire, Big Chief. While other people like to have it on the little sleeve thing on there so that they can reel it off, or some people like to just have it on the side so they can just pick it up and reel it off as they go. Now, you can see from the absolutely tortured soul that is Simon Pinto where his loyalties lie on that
Right, so
one.
carry on.
Okay, now that can be a massive... It's completely irrelevant. It doesn't mean anything, but some people can get so... Mike, repent!
Toilet heathen. I love that.
So Carrie understands this frustration. So in her eyes, it should be done like this. That is the way to do it. Now, in your eyes, I could see in every fibre of your being, that is the way it should be done. Now, if you go, no, it should be done this way, why are you saying that?
Right, so the way I would approach that, I would ask, well, why do you leave it on the system?
Because it works better for me that way.
Why?
Because I find it more convenient. My natural thing, when I sit down or whether I am going for a wee and everything, being able just to reach around for me feels more economical and it works better for me.
So if you have so most toilets apparently are seated across from the door you enter. So there will always be a wall on usually it's on that side. So there will be a toilet roll on that side. Did you know that? That's actually how houses are designed.
Toilet knowledge.
Houses are designed so as soon as you open a toilet door, the toilet should be right in front of you. So it will always be on the wall, to one side or the other. So why do you find that inconvenient?
I just find I have a natural... Also, I'm a bit different to a lot of people because I wipe my arse standing up.
Yeah, I would wipe my arse standing up.
Do you?
Yeah.
You know, most people sit down and wipe.
How can you wipe sitting down? You can't get your fucking hand in. Right, anyway.
I didn't think I could love you more than I do, but thank you.
Right, anyway, so I would ask what...
If anyone else out there wipes your ass standing up, please let us know, or if it's just me.
I mean, it's not really a thing anyone wants to... Anyway, so that I would ask why, and then I would say, so is it something that you've just got used to doing, or is it something that you feel is because there's something in your system that makes it far more convenient for you to do it to the top, as opposed to that? Is it just the fact that you've got used to doing something a certain way?
Toilet roll, is that because of your double anus? So many anuses, I just need the right angle to work
tissue.
from.
So go on.
But for me, it's a kind of... You know when you naturally do a thing? For me, naturally, it would be...
Yeah, but so when you were young, was there always a toilet roll there? That's why you've got used to that?
No, I find it sometimes, if I like in a works toilet or something like that, you would find that people would naturally rest a toilet roll on top. And I think one of the reasons is because a lot of the time certain toilet roll holders are a bit of a faff. So people just go, donk, it's nice and easy.
So that, to me, is a good reason. Sometimes with a toilet roll, you go to do that and then the whole thing unravels. So it's a bit of a faff. So I would then say, OK, I like it on there, but if that's a problem for you, then have it there.
Right. So, but when you get people who are, no, my way is the correct way.
But that has to be a conversation. So I think if you're... Then I would say if you're saying, no, you're just doing it wrong and... regardless of any reasons, like if no one finds out what that reason is, then I would personally think that's kind of imposing a will on somebody.
Rob also said, who the fuck can wipe their ass sitting down?
Right, can we go back? We missed some really good stuff.
A lot.
So before we miss everything. Right.
You know what? Having this conversation, everyone, has made me feel less lonely in life when it comes to our position when cleaning oneself.
Right, Nick. Hi, Mark. Yeah.
Here we go. Right, so I would agree with that. Right. Nick said his supporters just want simplistic.
Oh, so this is when we were talking about Trump.
Simplistic and easy to understand world that Trump and his like to peddle. Very true. I agree. There was another charismatic creature who created the same blind, thoughtless following that he had. Yeah.
So I kind of agree with what Nick's saying. The other side of that is that however we see it, these people feel that, I mean, there really is a cult of personality. We're both, when you're talking about Stalin, Hitler, Trump, and lots of other figures through history, there is a cult of personality where people, no matter what they do, there was a friend of mine, she thought Boris Johnson was just the greatest thing ever. And I'd say to her, but about this, about that, and well, I don't care about that.
No, because they've invested.
And at that point, then you think, well, there's this is beyond reason. There's not a reason you've fallen in love with this character. You've just made a decision or adopted this person, and no matter what they do, nothing will change that.
But doesn't
opinion.
that also come from like a kind of stubbornness and egotistical attitude? Because it's now I've personally invested emotion and time into this concept, our person. If you criticise that person, then you're basically, it's the same as religion.
Yeah.
If you're not religious, you can talk about probably religion with a bit more of a kind of academic attitude to it. Talk about the positives, the negatives. If it's a God you believe in, you have invested yourself into it. It's the same as like various movements. We talked about this before. People who follow a particular movement or something like that. You could sit there. If they weren't in that movement, you could talk about, again, the positive and negative, but because they're in that movement, you criticise anything about the movement, you're attacking them as a person. And I think once you've invested in that, or a person or a thing, it's very difficult for people, because people don't like admitting they're wrong either.
There's a syndrome called halo syndrome, and it's kind of tied with the idea of I think, with cult of personality or... it's in varying degrees. Generally, it terms like, when you fall in love with a pop star, or you fall in love with someone and you think like they can do no wrong.
Yeah.
But in that sense, I think that there's also very much that element of that. And I agree when you say they've invested something in themselves. But there's also part of them where I think there's an ego that they can't admit they're wrong. I used to have long conversations with my mum about religion and stuff. My mum, so I was born Roman Catholic, and my mum was always like uber Catholic.
Yeah.
And I would talk through. So I studied theology quite a bit and different religions and all sorts. And I would talk about the inconsistencies in the Bible and stuff to her, and she would go, "Oh, right, no, you're right about that. Yeah, no, that does make sense." And she would go like this, and then I would say, "So, do you see where you are?" And then she would just snap back to, "Yeah, but that's what I believe, and that's that.
Yeah.
You can't change that." And I'd be like, "I'm not trying to change it. I'm just trying to make you see. If those things don't make sense, then they can't both be right.
So why,
if they're both,
were you having these conversations with her? Why were you trying to... Was it because you felt that your reasoning was more... or the conclusion you came to was more logical, and you wanted to see her to come over to your side of thinking?
So I do this whenever I meet anyone who has kids. I ask them about parenthood.
Yeah.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you for joining us as well. When I see anyone who smokes, I always ask them why they took up smoking. And whenever I meet people that are religious, I always talk to them about religion, because that really interests me. What makes someone invest so much in those things? And also, I think they're very powerful things in people's lives. People design their morality around those things. So they're very powerful things, and that's very interesting to me. I don't see it as I'm trying to dissuade anyone from anything. I'm trying to say, right, if you've got this here, and then that's the complete negative, and you're saying both of those things are right, how is that? That, to me, doesn't make sense.
But
how does it make sense to you?
Aren't you trying to, by highlighting those things...
Trying to change them.
You're trying to get them to see a certain... You're trying to steer them to a certain conclusion. That's a conclusion basically that you have. Because, for example, when you talk to people about kids, say, okay, I'll talk to you about your kids or your religion, everything. If they were to just tell you about their religion, you'd be like, oh, okay, that's interesting, that's good. But I think when you then start to bring up things where you almost try to show the fallacies, is that the word?
Fallibility.
Fallibility in that. There's a motive that goes further than just wanting to hear about what they've got to say.
So how do you see that?
I see that as a case of...
Trying to change someone.
I see it partially, yes, and I see it also as, because I know, for example, with you're like one of the most incredibly logical thinkers I know. No, you are. But what happens is when something doesn't logically make sense, that is a red rag to a bull to you. And I can see you literally like, I've got to get in there. I've got to find out what's going on. I've got to dive in.
I love to debate. I love to debate because I'm interested in people. I think I'm really interested in people's opinions and what makes... So we talk about psychology a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And motivation, people's motivation is a thing that... I just find so fascinating.
Yeah.
And especially when you have things where people aren't on the fence, where they're very determined or very opinionated in something, that's far more interesting
because
than
you
if
want
they're
to find
like,
out how they've got to that
yeah,
point.
exactly. What's the motivation that makes you so staunch in that position? As opposed to, do you like chicken? I can take it or leave it. Right, well, there's not much to that, is
Okay,
there?
so when you ask those questions and you want to find out how a person has got to that point, so you're asking the questions, so when did you get into this? What makes you feel like that? At what point, what interjects for you that now you feel, now I need to try and hold up a mirror to these some of these fallacies to show them, I think this is where you are wrong. What makes you feel the need to do that?
So I'm interested in what I know and what I don't know. So over the years, since 2017, we've had some amazing conversations.
Oh, God, yeah.
And there's never one time that we get together where we don't extensively debate something. Never.
No.
I don't think ever, even for short conversations. And so let's take something like Ben Shapiro, for instance.
Yeah.
So when I first met you, you were very into Ben Shapiro,
yeah.
and you really thought he had the goods on everything. And I would ask you about things because there was things that I thought, right, this doesn't make sense to me, and I don't think that's correct, and this and whatever. But did I ever impose my will on you? Did I ever say, you're wrong about Ben Shapiro, he's a blah, 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 whatever? I always asked questions and led you to say, well, is that right or wrong?
But why do we debate? What's our purpose for debate? Is it because...
For me, it's because I'm interested why, if I see something, you don't see it. And very often as well, when we've spoken, you've gone, oh, something, and I go, I never thought that.
Yeah.
That, when you were saying about other... I can't remember an example. That you've told me thing, and I've gone, oh, I've changed my opinion on that. I've changed my I've changed my worldview on that. Now, that's a great thing.
True.
And I think education is just such a, you learn something that to me is that's a dopamine hit for me.
But again, this is when it comes from like where I come from.
I don't want to miss the things that have been
No,
said.
we'll go over. This is going to overrun, but this is kind of, you're seeing me and Simon in our kind of
idiot stage. Right,
yeah.
go on, Carol.
So where you say about education, at what point do we feel, when we feel that the need to, say, in a debate, or where we feel that someone has a different point of view, and we feel, I need to educate you on this. Is that an ego thing where we believe that I'm in a higher standing intellectually that I feel that you need to be educated?
I think as humans, we are pre-wired to... So the opinions we have, no one adopts opinion and goes, this is a wrong opinion, but I'm going to adopt this opinion. Right?
It's an interesting debate. Thank you, Gigi.
Thank you. No one has an opinion and goes, right, I've got a wrong opinion, but I'm going to... Trump's great. I know he's not great, but I'm going to keep the opinion that he's great. If your opinion that Trump is great, it's because you have reasons to believe that. And so you feel that is the right thing.
Yeah.
In the same way as if you're religious, you believe... let's take the Ten Commandments are the guide to life, and that's what all morality should be built around.
Yeah.
If you have a political standpoint, you believe this party is great because they made this decision, that decision, or whatever they stand for. If you're right wing and you believe that anyone of colour or anyone who's not of the same heritage as you is inferior, there's reasons why you have that. You don't have that opinion and go, I know this is wrong, but I still have that opinion. We hold the opinions that we believe are right.
Yeah.
And so when we talk to someone and someone has another opinion, you have a choice of going, you're a fucking idiot because you didn't see this and I know this is a fact. Or we go, why do you hold that opinion? And depending on your humility, you go, right, there's a sketch with Mitchell and Webb, David Mitchell and, I can't remember what his name is, Webb, where they were dressed as Nazis.
Oh,
and they go,
are we the bad guys?
Are we the bad guys here?
Got leather and skulls and...
And I think that there's something really intrinsically quite interesting about that one statement, you know, because it takes humility to go like, and you're finding that some commentators in America are going, you know, we've stood for peace and goodwill.
Thank you, Leanne. Hello.
So many good things in the world, and now have we become the bad guys?
Yeah.
And it takes humility to see that. So, again, I think as humans, we're poorly designed because we have all these things where we go, our first foot forward is always, if you've made a decision or you said something, you said it because you believe it's the right thing.
Yeah.
So you then go, you either go, right, balls out, I'm going to stick to that regardless, whatever the case is, or you go, right, let's debate.
But
is there room for error?
Yeah, but it being the opposition, at what point does it come to where you just say, okay, you know, if that's what you believe, that's what you believe. That's not my place.
But don't we do that? I think when we first used to talk about stuff, you found that hard.
Yeah, definitely. It took me a long time to
just realise we were just debating.
Yeah. You humbled me. No, but you generally did.
But again, so I saw that as education. So I just.
So did you feel the need to educate me?
Yeah, because I thought.
So why?
Because I thought, again, I had a set of opinions, and I thought, well, I think these are the right opinions.
That's my point.
Right, but there was points.
Why do I keep wanting to?
Sorry. But that's a human thing. You don't hold an opinion unless you think it's right. So that's one thing you can't change. That's a human facet. And then I would go, right, this is what I think is right. Why do you think it's wrong? And I would always ask you that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I always say this to people. Right, this is my opinion. If that's wrong, why?
But there's also that element of, is it that you feel that people need to prove why it's wrong? Like sort of, again, there sort of almost needs to be a, why aren't you coming round to my way of thinking?
But it depends. If you ask, I only ask questions. I don't say, I mean, even when I'm talking on here, I go, well, this is my opinion.
Yeah.
This is what I think. I don't go, oh, no, you're fucking wrong when you're saying that. It's absolutely not that. So when I first met you, there were certain things that both you and Glenn were saying where I thought, not Glenn Adams, Glenn we know, where they seemed to me slightly racist.
Right.
And same when I was talking about Les, he would come out with so many racist stuff. And I've got a choice to either say, I feel that's racist,
Yep.
You shouldn't be like that, blah, 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 blah. But I think the better way to deal with that is to go, right, well, if I can be someone that you go, oh, hold on a minute, this person is someone that I would have judged in a certain way, but maybe they're different, it might educate you, and you might see some other people maybe differently. You might not. But if I impose that, you're instantly going to reject it.
Yeah.
Because that's a human facet. If someone goes, do this, instantly your hackles go up. If someone goes, do you think that should be done that way? That's a better way to approach it.
Yeah, exactly. If you sort of
and this is all part of NLP.
If you include them in the conversation rather than being I'm the teacher, you're the student, I know better than you.
And as well, if you can bring someone to a conclusion themselves where they go, wait a minute, there's that's what I thought, but this actually makes more sense.
But that's what makes me wonder if...
Do you have the right to do that?
Yeah, do we have the right? And also, is that an ego thing to feel that we need to bring people to this conclusion? Why is it important to believe that...
Is it ego or is it empathy? Am I thinking that if you could think in this way, it would... So, for instance, if you hold a racist opinion, when you deal with people of different nationalities, you're going to put their hackles up. It's going to affect you when you deal with them. If you can be more open-minded to people and understand that we're all just the same, these are just masks, then you go, oh, right, I can actually relate to people better, I learn things better, I can be happier in myself.
Yeah.
Then I'm not imposing it on you. If you find that yourself, a bit like finding a truffle, if you find it yourself, happy days.
Yeah.
If you go, well, there's a truffle there, but fuck that, then that's fair enough as well.
Do you think any time this situation comes up where any of us feel the need to educate someone else, or we feel the need to almost convert people to our way of thinking, even if we feel it's from a good standpoint, that there is an element of ego in there that feels that we are right?
You could argue everything we do, there's ego in it.
Yeah.
The two of us talking with each other, what's making us talk?
Because we've got no other friends.
All right.
No,
so
yeah.
one, we've got no other friends, so we get a good feeling about connecting. Yeah, we've got a good feeling about learning from each other. We get
it's
a
not
good feeling.
It's not an altruistic thing. We are both receiving.
We are earning something from it, spiritually,
not
emotionally,
financially,
feeling wise, whatever the case is. We're getting some reward for it. So you could argue everything is ego driven.
Yeah,
it's just certain things are more paramount ego driven, and other things are more seated in empathy or emotion or feelings or whatever. I think, again, and this is my opinion, I think if you can lay information, so you could say if a teacher's teaching you something, is that ego driven? Are they teaching you math because they want you to see math their way, or do they think that could be useful for you? And I think any kind of teaching or information or imparting of information is a good thing. We are constantly learning, whether we know it or don't know it. Everything that we see, come into contact, we sense, we are learning from. Can we go back to this? I don't want to miss any of this.
Me and Simon could easily talk about this.
Yeah, I'm so sorry we've carried on so long.
No. It's
we did Lord Nick.
Yeah,
there,
we did
didn't we?
Nick. Homer, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. This is what you said the other week, actually, because this is kind of another part to this conversation. If you say your point fairly and without malice, then it can be a good talking point and may change someone's point of view.
So let's just stop on that for a second. That's a really good point there. So you're saying that, so just say, if Trump did whatever he did and nobody confronted that or nobody held that to account, then you could say, well, it's out of ego, someone's imposing. But people are suffering for that.
Yeah.
So in the same way as if I'm doing something and people are suffering by the way I'm driving, I'm not taking care of people, I'm not looking in the mirror and whatever else, then it's by you not doing something, by you not saying, have you thought about checking your mirrors? Or there are other people on the road, just a little bit of checking may save you having an accident or hurting someone who's got kids or whatever the case is. And you doing nothing is actually not a passive thing, but is an active thing. You're choosing not to be involved because maybe you're scared of blowback, maybe you're scared of this. So I think as long as you're not forcing someone to do something, and there's going to be caveats, there's going to be...
Yeah, of course, it's all a grey area.
A very general thing, I think it's always good to, as long as you don't forcefully or project your own problems or tell someone that it has to be like this and no other way. When I used to teach people guitar, I used to say, I'm going to show you a way of doing it, but there's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
If you want to play something, you get to the goal however you want to get to the goal, but when it sounds like this, you've done it right. However you get to that, happy days.
Yeah.
Sorry, so go on.
But no, actually, that does...
and Lord Nick was saying he was talking about...
stupid moustache.
Yeah, so he
but that does actually mirror what Simon said the other week, because we were talking about this, and I was saying that how I felt that I couldn't have an opinion on something.
Because that's a big problem with you. You feel that you're kind of imposing your opinion on people.
Because in the
recently, it's become a big problem for you.
More recently, because I've become more aware of all the things I don't know.
Which is a really good thing. Again, Dunning and Kruger, people that know less presume they know more about a subject, and people that know more about a subject actually realise how much they still have to learn.
And it's me, in the past, I could get very high and mighty and be, well, I do things this way, so that's definitely the best way to do it.
So what changed that? How did you change that mindset?
I think I had to just rein my neck in and basically...
So what made you rein your neck in? What made you realise that?
A lot of it was conversation with you, so that was a big part. Conversation with other friends who kind of...
So I would say something that maybe you learned, I'm going to suggest this to you, is that you learnt humility about what you know. Yeah,
exactly. And that's why it's a kind of, for me, I know that we learn so much from each other, but it's a case of knowing that what are the reasons we are imposing our knowledge on others? And it's like, is it for I've forgotten the word now. What's the nice bit? The good reason. The empathy.
The empathy.
If it's an empathetic reason where you feel you could genuinely help, like literally if you see someone digging a hole in the dirt with their fingers and you go, have you ever heard of a shovel?
Yeah. But then there's other things where you've spoken to me and you've made me see something in a different light that I didn't, or you've opened up an opinion to me. And I'm so thankful for that, because again, you've changed. If you can change my worldview, and something you say, and I go, well, that makes absolute sense. I never saw that before, and I've said that to you umpteen times, like. That's fucking brilliant.
So, for example, with your mum, though, where your mum would naturally revert back, and she'd be like, well, that's what I believe. After hearing that she said, well, that's what I believe, and sort of almost shut the conversation down, I suppose, what makes you then go back?
I wouldn't. No, I'd go, all right, fair enough then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't still try to push, once you've realised that she's not open to that concept, you wouldn't still try to push to say...
No.
Okay.
So we would just start talking about things, and then, as often with my mum, it would get onto religion.
Yeah.
So then I would carry that
you'd
conversation.
have that natural conversation.
And then if she just went, I've had enough of
Yeah.
that, I'd go, all right, fair enough then. I'm not going to force you to
So
talk
you
about
would
something.
say, and that's the thing about you, like if you see that someone is not interested in that, they're like, I don't want, you're not going to go, but why?
Well, no, but that doesn't make me happy to do that.
Whereas
Like-
some people will be, it's like, no, I have to force my
but there's
train of thought.
usually
on
another
you.
driving factor why someone would do
Yeah,
that.
and that's the thing that I'm interested in. That's what always worries me with that. Again, what that factor is a very self-serving, I would say, ego-driven, negative element, and that's what I've always.
You might see it as negative. That person will see it differently. So
Yeah.
let's take an example of like the MAGA supporters and
Oh,
stuff.
sorry, Mikey Ham said, I know this isn't anything to do with what you're talking about, but what guitar is that? Looks cool.
Oh, this is a custom shop Jackson. So it's got EMG 81 there and EMG. I think there's an HA in this, which is the single coil active. Yeah, really nice.
It is.
Yeah.
MAGA. You're saying about
I
MAGA.
designed this.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, so if you listen to those people talking about their support and their idea and stuff like that, lots of times they don't know the details. There's a guy called Gordon, he does interviews on the Daily Show, Jordan Klepper, sorry, and he'll go and interview them and he'll kind of catch them out on what they don't know. He won't do it horribly, he does it really nicely, but he's just demonstrating their ignorance about a subject.
Yeah.
And it's not to say they're bad people, but just they've been given a very thin slice and told this is right and that's all there is to it.
You're basically sort of, I suppose it's kind of almost showing how the magic trick is done in a way, isn't it? You're not insulting them, you're saying, they're like, oh my God, it's magic. You go, no, it's not. This is done like that, and that's done like that. It's more of an explanation.
It's showing the error in someone's thinking. So
Jew said, maybe
so after
when
Homer, we then had Lord Nick.
I'll just say, because what Jew said, maybe when people are like that, they are being more selfish. Yeah, I think that's what I was worried about me, is that I was coming from, when I was trying to get people to see my point of view, that it was from a selfish, self-serving area.
So, yeah, I would agree with that. But then again, it depends.
You saying I'm selfish?
I think we've all been selfish at points. It's just sometimes it's hard to see it. Again, looking at yourself is very hard because anything you do at that point when you're doing it, you think that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, in that I think it was one of the things you said to me, that in every moment people are doing what they feel is
what they genuinely believe is the right thing at that moment, even if they know that I'm screwing over somebody or whatever. At the time, whatever their motivation is, they're going, well, I'm screwing it over because I'm going to get this.
That's going to serve me the best.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's just how I say it. I could be wrong. Right, and then we got onto the toilet stuff.
Yeah, toilet stuff.
Seems.
Who the fuck can
you just go back? Seems. Neil said seems logical if you sit facing the system.
Hey, that's how I roll. Toilet roll is up because you're double anus. You're both toilet heathens. Who the fuck can wipe their ass sitting down? See, Rob understands. It's like on Jonathan Ross show. Who was it? They were talking about wiping the backside, and they said, "Oh, after when you check the paper." And Jonathan Ross was like, what do you check the paper for? It was Michael Ball, actually. Michael Ball was like, well, how do you know if you're finished? And he's like, I just know. It's like, so Jonathan Ross is walking around with a dirty bum.
But you say that. So many people just wipe and then pull the trousers up and go.
Yeah.
You've got to.
You have to. Germans made a shelf to examine their poo. This is how important it is.
I feel that after you wipe your bum, you've got to wash your bum because in the crevices of your anus, you still have fecal matter.
Yeah.
So, and you get that. That's why you've got bidets and stuff in Europe and various other places. it's normal after you have a shit, you have a wipe, get rid of whatever you can, then you have a wash.
Have a good rinse.
Have a good old rinse, soap and water, get it all nice and clean, and then you're good to go.
And if you haven't got a bidet, just fold the toilet paper over, dab a little bit of water on it, and you get a nice clean wipe. Hey ho.
Oh, God. I have a delicious boy wielding a puppy to wipe my... Thought this game shows would end up talking shit.
Of course. Toilet roll is best in the holder and not on the cistern. I think there's a big divide between women and men on this.
I think, yeah. But there's... I only know of a few people who like to put it on the cistern.
Any work toilet, like it...
But that tends to be if the roll... Well, where I've seen it is that... Mind you know what? Everywhere, since I've ever worked, I think I've only used the toilet facilities a really few times because I don't like to go unless I'm at home.
I think you're probably like Carrie. You would rather literally fill up to the point of explosion rather than go anywhere near a public toilet.
Oh, public toilet.
No.
It literally, that's the kryptonite for me.
Mark said, talking about bog roll, I got stuck in the loo at the cow and there was no loo. Oh, dude.
Oh, dude.
Had to text the mate and staff to bring one in. Absolutely. That's why it's always handy to have friends on the outside. For fuck's sake, Lloyd, it's the cow. Yeah, it was.
It was me, Mark.
200 amp service complete. I have the power.
Oh, excellent, TL. Excellent.
Mark says, replying to Leanne, Mark's forgotten. I wipe sitting down. I just lean forward. Yes, I just don't. I feel it's awkward.
How can you get a clean movement there, Lee?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, great if you can, man. Great if you can.
But Lee, as those guns build up and those muscles all blossom.
Yeah, there won't be room.
There won't be room.
Won't be room.
It's an interesting debate.
Congratulations, TL. Quick, make a quick cup of tea to celebrate.
Debate is like critical thinking. Debate is like critical thinking, opening yourself to various possible opinions and outcomes for a situation.
Yeah. Well said, dude.
Juju, that could be ego. There's a famous saying about changing your opinion when shown new evidence. Yeah, it's the isn't it? It's something like it takes 1,000 people to change like the opinion of one person if it's a belief they don't believe in, but you could have one person.
I don't think you're
no,
paraphrasing this to the best. I'll fuck this up.
No. There's something like if you can make people believe something they want, like you can make 1,000 people
Isn't
believe.
it take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it?
Yeah, you can make 1,000 people believe something that they want to believe, but when it comes the other way around, 1,000 people couldn't change the belief of one person, something they don't believe.
They've been having these things on YouTube where they get like one expert in a field or someone who knows something, and they have a load of people who have a different opinion about them, and then they have a time and they come and they say and some of them have been really, really interesting, just how people don't know what they're talking about, but are so firmly believed in some... aberration.
Flat Earth debates are usually a very good one for that. For those of you who know about Flat
Earth... Hi, Mikey.
Like in Flat Earth, one of the big things was seeing the 24-hour sun in Antarctica. Because Flat Earthers believe that you can't go to Antarctica. No aircraft fly over Antarctica because of the Antarctic Treaty, and that there's a big ice wall and blah, 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 and the firmament and all that stuff.
So this is a big thing with you. Whenever you talk about flat earthers...
no, what I'm talking about is the moving of the goalposts.
No, I understand that. Sorry. Go on. I interrupted you and I apologise.
No,
Finish what you're saying and then I'll...
But so even when they actually said, right, we are going to pay for you to go down to the Antarctic and you're going to witness the 24-hour sun, which flat earthers said did not exist. When they witnessed it, immediately the calls were... You're a shill, you're this, you're that. No, it's fake, it's this. And even people who've been there, they said, right, some of them did sway, and they're like, okay, this is happening, it's got to make me rethink. Other ones like, I can see it, but I just think there's other and immediately they shift the goalpost onto something else. Yeah. And that's the case of people who, when they're invested in a belief, no matter what it is, even when you provide them with cast iron evidence, if they don't want to believe it, nothing will sway
Exactly.
them.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it. But this is an interesting thing, so I'm just going to very quickly hit this, right? So when I know you've spoken a lot about flat earthers, and whenever you do, there's I would suggest
a bite to it.
There's disdain in the way that you speak about it. Now, just examine that a little bit, right? They have an opinion, whatever the reason that opinion is there. Again, they have that opinion because they believe that's the right thing. But your attitude and opinion to that is what? It seems it's kind of, what a bunch of fucking idiots.
It's not a bunch of...
And I'm not, again, I'm not imposing
it's
that
not
on you.
The idiot.
I'm just saying...
No, it's not the idiot. It's the culture that comes with it is very... They are so horrible to, like, globe Earth, like, literally the ivory tower that they put themselves in.
So I would suggest that not every person that believes in flat Earth meets that criteria.
No, absolutely. I'm talking about there's certain individuals who are like the big spokespeople. So
there's certain people, but they don't represent the whole of that bunch. They don't present the whole of that tribe. They are individuals in their own right.
They are the main sources. If you had like your spokespeople for what you would consider the flat Earth, they are generally the ones who get the most traffic, the most influence.
I'm sure that's the case. Is Trump a representation of everyone in America?
No,
of course not. So with these people, this is how I would see it. They're individuals and they have their own issues or problems or however you would...
It's just a green screen, ha. I hope that's not us.
They have their own issues, but they don't represent the whole of that tribe. That's fair to say, yeah? And the animosity you feel, or that's not the right word. Injustice you feel with them?
I suppose it's more of you can have your people believe in all sorts of things. People believe that, stick a crystal up your bum, it will heal you, or whatever. But
so you've always got the fringe and you've got the far element to anything, and then you have the more mainstream.
Yeah, it's the fringe and the extreme of when people are just so blatantly rude and horrible to each other because of their belief.
But those are those particular people. It doesn't mean that that's everyone who believes that. And for whatever reason they are. And we may feel that it's, there's so much evidence and there's so much reason.
Sorry, Leanne just said, no, I was talking about the 24-hour thing. I bet, yes, there were people who believed it was CGI, and there were people, same as there are people who believe that the space station is a hologram, and so is the moon.
But then, so there's people that believe that we were talking about pyramids before we went on air, before we started doing this. Oh, what the fuck?
On air.
I've been doing music too long. Our moon landing deniers flat earthers. So let's use Stuart for an example. Hi, Stu. Very nice to see you again. Had a really good conversation with him over the weekend. Stuart believes very much that the moon landings are a load of bullshit, and there are people that believe that. I know Teal said before that he's done the calculations and he believes that they are. So you have these two diametrically opposed concepts, and there's lots of beliefs and attributes that have brought both these two individuals to those standpoints. And a lot of that is going to be based on their history, their personality, their attitudes, loads of things.
Oh, God, yeah. It's, a massive group.
And also, as well, not everyone has all the information all the time. So there's stuff to learn. So getting back to the flat earthers, they are where they are because of so many reasons. But to me, I don't think that necessarily all you can hope for is that, again, education may bring them to the view that, say, you and I share. But what if we're wrong?
Yeah, that could be the case.
So it's what we were saying earlier. You were saying, I don't like to impose my opinion because I could be wrong. But we have to take the opinion, and as much as it will really hurt, because we both feel we're so definite that the Earth isn't flat.
But there are, for example, if there are different people, like, for example, me and you are very evidence-based people. So, like,
It's still fallible.
yeah, of course we're still fallible. But there's people who, like, for example, when I discovered, like, someone did a very interesting talk on about when they say what makes a man, what makes a woman, and they said that all the different levels of whether it's down to your genes, whether it's down to the amount of hormones, there's no, like, you have obviously your whole penis and vagina argument, but regarding, like,
There's so many things that
there's so
don't
many
realise.
variables that goes on in a human body, and to me that's really interesting. So again, it's one of those things, if I see my kind of education on a sliding scale and my belief in something, if it's kind of, okay, here's this and here's this, it's like, oh, okay, I've learnt this extra thing, I've moved over here.
So do you remember you sent me that article that lady sent?
That was
and I
it,
said, yeah, I'd already said, because we had done we'd done my 10 facts about, and I'd mentioned some of those things about, so for instance, a man can have women's chromosomes, vice versa, and stuff like that, and there's certain conditions. And you were like, is a peach a clementine drink pretentious?
No, I think own it, baby.
And want it.
Slay queen and all that stuff.
But when I had said those things before, they'd gone over your head. Now maybe it's just because we were busy
Probably a
doing-
lot of information going on at the time. And
But then sometimes it takes repeated things for us to go, oh right, okay, So for those people, you show them as much evidence as you can, but you can't make anyone. I really believe that you can't make anyone believe anything. We all have that choice, and you can't, unless they're brainwashed, you can't really change.
I think
that.
you can, unless it's, I think with certain people, if they're kind of generally in the middle and they can swave away, I think you can lay small seeds.
And that to me is always the best way.
Yeah.
You try and lay seeds and bring someone to find their own truth, and then they go, all right, great.
Yeah, but if you've got someone who is really invested in one way, I think it would take something almost life-changing
but everyone takes
them
different.
across.
I've said this so many times. No one gave up racism because they were told to or they were shouted at.
No.
They have to find that way.
Same as we were talking about that woman who, I think, was it the KKK? She was a Muslim woman who basically ingratiated herself into the KKK, like one of the bravest.
Well, with members of them, yeah.
Yeah, with members of them, which is there's levels of courage, and then there's that. But by doing that, she actually made. I think it was one man actually gave up because he realised that he started to see her as like a sister. And like, she's a human being. She's not a colour. She's not a thing.
I told you about that bloke that used to run the far right thing, and I used to serve
That's
him.
right,
And I'd always just talk to him, chat to him, and stuff like that. Just hope that, again, you lay those seeds and you don't know where they're going to go.
No.
Anyway, I think we've spoken for way too long. Oh, Jesus, we've overrun so much. I'm so sorry, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. It's been really interesting.
You've stuck around, so thank you for that. That's basically, you've got to see me and Simon in our
Lord Nick say.
If you unscrew your belly button, does your bumhole fall off? In my case, I don't know which one would.
You'd have two belly buttons.
Yeah, I need two belly buttons for two bumholes. We'll just
Thank you so much for joining in and adding everything. We learned
Ju
so much.
said, maybe when people have been like that, they may be selfish yet. You need to know the poo's all gone. Exactly. Yeah, you've got to check. Oh, my God, I need to get that. I so get that with public loos. Yeah, that's about the not wanting to go near them. If the roll is on the cistern, how many times have you accidentally knocked it in the water? No. Lord Nick, there are Klingons up there, Captain. What a shit subject, this Mark. Yeah, you can't take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Try the new 3 steps in one butt. What was that? Try the new 3 steps in one butt vac, Simon. Jeez.
You've lost us.
I do feel you peddling the standing up wiping method. I'm not converting, though. That's my opinion, and it's right for me. That's fair enough, and I respect that opinion, Neil. I'm not going to try and change it because, again, what is right for you may not be right for me. Leanne said green screen. Yeah, we've talked about that. Little Nick, one man's idiot is another man's philosopher. Absolutely. Leanne says, no, I was talking about 24-hour sun. Yep. Stuart Walsh, a moon land.
Yeah, then we did those, didn't we?
Yeah. Is a peach and clementine drink pretentious? Yep. This is so funny.
Glenn,
love you guys.
hello.
Night. Thank you, Nick. Love you loads, bud. We'll catch you soon. But something that is interesting, what they said, our moon landing deniers flat earthers. It's very interesting how they've noticed that people who follow sort of a lot of these pseudoscience kind of ideas, they'll gravitate towards each other and they'll find almost like a sort of companionship and brotherhood, even if their beliefs completely contradict each other.
But we're pack animals, aren't we?
Yeah.
So we do that. If you find, can't remember who told me this, but if they go to a pub and there's some rockers there, they'll gravitate to that. That's my crowd, Or you see some people dressed similar, you gravitate to, that's my crowd.
Yeah. So even if they're kind of, say, very anti, like their belief system completely, like the belief of like one completely sort of cast aspersions over the other, because they're both against the man and the main train of thought, they'll kind of put all those differences aside and unite. It's very interesting.
In America with QAnon and MAGA and stuff like that, lots of those people say they also have sympathies with conspiracy theories here and there and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it seems to be a certain kind of person who goes along that. Right, ladies and gentlemen, love it when someone says, I'll examine that for a moment. I'm like, okay, I've never done this before. Always know you're in for a deep chat then. But this is No, but this is one of the reasons why I love Simon to bits and I love talking, because we just have...
I fucking hate
every orifice of you, even your bonus ones.
Your bonus bum.
What do you got tonight in the bonus bum? All right, everyone, probably some lint. Knowing me. It's usually the way. It is a lint trap, I'll tell you that much. All right, everyone, thank you very much. Thank you to Simon for being a beautiful human being and doing this with me every Tuesday when I'm not ill or something.
Rare.
Yeah, exactly. Me and Mike were singing your praises, don't you know? Yes, we did say about how much of an influence you have been on our lives.
You mooners.
You mooners. I don't know. Bloody mooners.
Thank you so much for joining us. Be good, be kind, enjoy your week ahead.
Yes, been lovely talking to you all and enjoying all of your input. Take care, much love.
That's been really nice, actually.
Yeah, it has been. Thank you, everyone. Take care.